Sonia Reich's family didn't even know she had a story, let alone a mysterious one. Her son's journey to learn more about it was not just across the miles, but back in time to find what was haunting his mother's mind. It's a story he put together in a book and a documentary. One night, Sonia Reich was found wandering the streets of Skokie, screaming.
My mother packed up 2 shopping bags with clothes, underwear, essentials, and fled her house in Skokie, believing, she said, that someone was trying to kill her. She heard a voice saying someone was going to put a bullet in her head.
They're gonna give me a bullet in the head. I am gonna fall over and I wouldn't even know who killed me.
Psychologists diagnosed her with delusional disorder, but to Howard, a journalist for the Chicago Tribune, the diagnosis didn't make sense. He had Dr. David Rosenberg of Highland Park meet her.
Do not throw no needles at me while I am in my room.
His diagnosis? Sonia Reich had developed post-traumatic stress disorder 56 years after surviving the Holocaust.
There is a fairly typical pattern that consists of a person coming to see the psychiatrist, really in tatters, worn down by months and years of being unable to sleep well. Just seeing somebody dressed in a uniform might cause this person to react as if this is the SS coming to get them.
1941, Sonia was a 10-year-old girl when she escaped through a window like this one in what was then Poland. She was one of a few who avoided these killing fields of Dubna, 12,000 executed from the village. Howard stepped into his role as journalist and traveled here to learn about the missing years from his mother's childhood.
She was basically running through the forest, begging for food on farms, and subsisting in this kind of feral existence through those years. And somehow she came out of the end of it whole as a person, but quite damaged psychologically.
A hunted child with lice and frostbite, his mother was on the run for 2 years and never learned to trust anyone. Finally, she found her relatives. But like many Holocaust survivors, she kept her stories secret, suppressing them for decades to try and live a normal life in a new world and raise a family.
The bitter irony here is that that resolve of hers is what's preventing her from getting help today, because she believes everyone is trying to kill her again as they once did. So she won't take medicine. She won't speak to a psychiatrist. And she sort of built a wall. She is back in the past, even though she knows it's the present, and she's fighting for her survival again.
One study of Holocaust survivors concluded that while they didn't show any signs of trauma after the war, nearly all of them showed signs of it 25 years later. PTSD isn't just something that's rooted in war. Whether a crazed gunman opening fire on a crowd or gang shootings on the South Side, trauma can have a long-lasting impact on anyone.
Trauma is trauma, and if your life is threatened, it's trauma, and it lingers with you, we now know, decades later.
And if it's never diagnosed, if no one gets help, psychologists may find it difficult, if not impossible, to treat someone. Sonia Reich is too paranoid to take medicine or speak to a psychologist.
The first thing I mentioned is very obvious. And early diagnosis and early treatment are a very good kind of approach.
Howard has written a book and documentary on his mother's story, Prisoner of Her Past. It's not a Holocaust story. It's a lesson in escaping haunting memories to live a happy life beyond trauma.
I call it I sleep with one eye. I don't sleep in that bed
Why not?
because I don't like it.
Did you try it?
I don't even want to try it.
It's too late for Sonia Reich. She escaped the Nazis, but for her, the war is still on. She won't even read her son's book. She says everything she wants and needs now is right in front of her.
Now I realize the gravity of what my mother went through, and I appreciate and admire what she has made possible for me, and I think I love her in a way that never was possible before.
Larry Potash, WGN News.